Hello, it's Dr. Darnise, and welcome back into the channel. Today, I wanted to talk a bit about Iyanla Van Zandt. Um, Probably you've heard that she just recently lost a daughter, another daughter. And I wanted to talk about her because I have been, talking at length here about our Black spiritual teachers and leaders who don't necessarily get recognized in the larger spiritual community. Somebody like Iyanla, of course, is, world famous and been on television for decades. So people do know her more, but most of the people who know her probably don't really realize her spiritual grounding in Yoruba, an African traditional religion that she is initiated, hence her name Iyanla, right? And I dare say a lot of people who only found Iyanla through Fix My Life from Oprah's network, they don't know. Like a lot of people who are not Black don't know how many books she's been writing and how she's been really holding space for the Black community for literally decades. So I wanted to, just take a moment for us to think about her. She really has been fixing lives for a long time. And so, she lost her daughter, Jamia, and I'm not remembering what year that was exactly. She lost her daughter, Jamia, around Christmas. And she has shared how devastated she was, how she, was so depressed and couldn't get out of bed for a long time. And she struggled, obviously, as a mother who lost her child. Jamia had cancer. And, she went through that phase of feeling helpless. Like here she was, this spiritual teacher who talked about, the power of the healing word and all of that. And her daughter yet died. And so she was devastated. And so now we hear that another daughter of hers has just passed away a couple of days ago, Nisa. And we don't have any details, about, why this daughter died. And in a way, it's not really our business, and it doesn't matter because Iyanla is a mother who is having to bury another child, right, which is devastating. Now, I've known Iyanla for a number of years. I mean, she's not like best friend. I'll call her up, and we haven't talked in a number of years. But I know how she has a son, Damon, and I can only really imagine at this point that again she's devastated. So, because I've been doing this series here on this channel about honoring our own Black spiritual leaders and teachers, I just want to give a word because I just posted something in the community section. If you've been seeing my community post, you'll see I just posted something about her. And so, I just felt like it's kind of, incumbent upon me to say something about this as well. And I'm sure we'll hear in the coming days more of the details. Unfortunately, in the media cycle, when we don't hear details, people tend to make stuff up. Um, anyway, the machine does what it does and it starts creating stuff. And so Iyanla has asked us, of course, to honor her family's privacy around this, but I'm sure more information is going to come out. I just like when Jamie Foxx was sick in the hospital for so long, people were making up things about him and whatnot. So let's try not to do that. But so I want to take time in this video to talk about Iyanla's contributions. And I was going to make a video, truthfully, I was going to make a video about asking you your spiritual practice. I post here about spiritual practices and tools. And I was going to make a video, or I was going to go live maybe and ask, what's your spiritual practice? I'm curious. So whatever, put it in the comment. And then because, I've shared that I've moved across country and I've been unpacking my books, I came across my stack of Iyanla books because I have a stack of them. So when I think about what my spiritual practice is, there's such a glare. I think about how many of Iyanla's books has been a guidepost for me. But I just keep going with more and more. Right? So this is a number of her books, not even all. I still have some in a box. And I said, well, I'm not going to pull all of them out, but I'm curious if you have been reading Iyanla's work and if it has helped you over the years and what might be your favorite ones. Now, as I mentioned, she's a practitioner of an ATR, African Traditional Religion, and this was her first book, Tapping the Power Within. And not a lot of people actually know this one, A Path to Self-Empowerment for Black Women. And it's really full of, rituals. And again, not many people know about this book, especially as she began to get more popular across the board, a crossover type of personality for in other communities other than Black people. As white people began to know more about her, or whoever else began to know more about her, especially from being on Oprah shows, then the African kind of got placed back and back and back. I guess I can understand that, right? It's hard to translate the African, right? And that's part of what we talk about here on this channel is African traditional religions are so marginalized and maligned that to say that you practice one, people look at you like, you got three heads and, you're worshiping Satan himself. So stands to reason, plus the PR machine is gonna do that. But anyway, I have it and it's been very helpful. And for anybody who's like, well, what can I do? What can I start? This is always a good book. As old as it is, it's still, the rituals are still effective. I mean, and rich. This was 1992. And then I was going to say, like, which are the ones that I think are the most helpful to me in my journey? And I think The Value in the Valley, a subtitle, A Black Woman's Guide Through Life's Dilemmas, Value in the Valley, and then this one, Peace from Broken Pieces, how to get through what you're going through. This was really, really good to me. She really opened up and shared a whole lot about herself. And there's some other ones that I don't even have. And then there's some other ones where she specifically reached out to men. She wrote a couple books specifically for Black men. And I don't happen to have those. That was her way of trying to lift up Black men, talk about Black masculinity, and speak directly to them. So I don't have those in particular, but I'm just wondering, what are your spiritual practices? What maybe have you learned from Iyanla? Do you have a collection of her books? I see there's another one on the shelf I didn't even bring over in the meantime. And I don't mean to talk about her like pouring out libations like she left here, but really from the perspective of that we could just lift her up. There's so much negativity in the media about people. And as I said, the machine will do what it does and probably try to, somehow make this a negative, somehow make it a negative, right? So whatever they dredge up, I would just like to hold Iyanla and an embrace of compassion and honor, her request that we give them some privacy, right? Let people grieve for a minute. I mean, can you imagine, especially if you're a parent, you lose a child and here's the camera right in front of your face, following you wherever you go. It's rough. It's rough to be in the public eye. And, I've talked about that before because I know so many people who are in the public eye, having been a life coach for so many years and worked with people who are in the public eye, and they struggle a lot. And a lot of times we don't know about it and we don't give them grace because it looks to us, okay, you have everything, you have fame, you have, money, you have all of this privilege. And for those of us regular people or people who are struggling, it's like, oh, okay, well, it's okay for me to pick on you. And I just want to say, remember that these are people. They're people, and they go through things, and it's hard to go through things in public. It's hard to go through hard things in public. So anyway, I'm going to keep it kind of short. Just let me know, what's your spiritual practice? What have you gained from Iyanla? What might you offer up? What kind of prayer might you offer up to her and her family at this time? All right, bye for now.